todos novamente, mais um episódio da Prime Talks, hoje com um tema muito especial. Temos aqui dois convidados muito especiais que vão partilhar experiências. São eles um cliente da Prime Legal. Risto, thank you so much for being here. And not yet a Prime Legal's client, but almost there. We have Jessie today. Portanto, vou só concluir a introdução em português. Obrigada por estarem aqui. O nosso objetivo é, obviamente, partilhar experiências reais. Temos aqui connosco dois exemplos de dois cidadãos estrangeiros que mudaram para Portugal, fizeram essa jornada e, portanto, hoje o objetivo aqui é explorar um bocadinho destes casos. Ainda não são fluentes em português, almost there, mas vamos falar em inglês. So, thank you so much for being here today. So the purposes of the conversation is basically for you to share your experience. How was the journey? What were the challenges? How was the impact of IMA in your journey? And of course, to talk a little bit of your new project right now that you are developing together. Fun fact is that although you know for how much?
Well, I think maybe the last 6 months.
6 months,
Yeah,
but
it's
today it's the first time you met in person.
This is the first time in person.
Perfect. So that's an amazing opportunity for us to discuss a little bit. So Risto, feel free to let us know about your journey, share a little bit of your experience, why Portugal, why the Golden Visa path. Tell us all about it.
Well, first of all, thank you, Vanessa, for honoring me with the invitation to be here. I'm Risto Milanov, and I've been living in the United States for a long time, but I am natively European, was born and raised in what was once Yugoslavia, now it's known as Northern Macedonia. During the time in the United States, obviously, I have worked quite a bit in the domain of software engineering, especially in the travel management industry, both on the airline side and the travel management company. And eventually, not just eventually, maybe for the longest part of 2 decades, both me and my spouse Miguel, we intended to move to Europe.
Okay. That was always the goal.
That was always the goal.
Okay.
We successfully have been coming here several times a year, not just in Portugal, but overall to visit family.
So you had already that connection.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, but it was important for Miguel to develop that connection as well. In 2020, during the pandemic, we had plenty of time to Google Walk.
I'm sure.
To Google Walk a lot of the grounds that we haven't had a chance to explore. Obviously, for the American population, Spain, France, Italy, it's what's really spoken of a lot, especially at that time. But Portugal was really climbing up in the ranks very high in immigration by investment. And the reason why we chose immigration by investment is because we still have a lot of stamina to do something. So we knew we wanted to work, and we couldn't quite decide when we can move.
Okay.
So the uncertainty of time made us go down that
So
path.
basically, the Portuguese Golden Visa program gave you the freedom of choice.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct. That was the freedom of choice. In the overall landscape of all of the immigration by investment programs, the Portuguese one was most appealing with the requirements or the minimum requirements for residence time in Portugal, for the time to citizenship, which is obviously always a motivation from families that come from different nationalities. We eventually were going to move my mom and dad. My mom was the only one that moved in with us, and that was yet another complication. So all of those things combined, we definitely decided for the Golden Visa, and Portugal was the best candidate for that.
And it was easy for you to find information about the program, access service providers. How was this discovery?
So in the middle of the pandemic, that was something that was widely spoken of, but Reliant platform where you can connect to services that you need or get consultation with experts in the field, that wasn't as easy of a find. Because I am in the travel domain, what I did, Portugal in New York has an officer that specializes in tourism in Portugal. I connected with her and I asked her for an advice on, I explained what the situation is and what we need, and she did refer Sarah. So sorry.
Just
the connection goes back there.
So you have the best one.
Yes, from the first one, we landed very safely.
Very well.
Right, and then obviously, alongside with Sarah, we did contact the Algarve Addicts, which is managed by somebody who is from South Africa but lives here. He's married to a Portuguese lady, and they've been here for over 30 years. That's how we connected with our real estate agent on the ground. Obviously, the bank.
All connections
Were established in this exact way through referrals at that time, which for us worked really well, and that's how we developed high confidence in obtaining services. Right?
But let me ask you, if the decision of investing in the program without knowing the backlog and the delays, the option for you to go again to that tourist place and ask for information, or you have nowadays platforms or information online.
Right. So
because we will have potential investors today hearing us about this, so it would be important to understand if it was today, what would be the strategy?
I think that today there is a lot more online presence.
Yeah. For sure.
It's still difficult to filter out the noise. And when I say the noise is, we do develop our own expectations. It's the same saying in immigration when somebody brings their culture over, right? You get to a forum, you bring your expectations over because this is how it works where you come from. I am more skeptical than that. I do read in between the lines, and you have to balance that with the success stories versus what the noise is.
Okay. Agreed.
Now, if we had to, again, do this, I do believe just based on the information that are available out there, that we would have made the same choice.
Okay.
Now, I might be completely biased in my in my assessment to this because I live here and I know so much about Portugal, and I know that all that noise that's being out there and all of that, even though the administrative delays are real, the bureaucratic challenges are real, that is not exactly what it feels like when you live here. I don't know, Jesse, you are kind of in the same position because you do live here too, right? I think we would still make the same decision.
Okay,
yes.
So conclusion, overall, this first decision, this first movement, everything worked out.
Yes, and we're here to stay forever as long as nobody brooms us out.
You are here to stay.
We're here to stay.
So now, Jesse, please tell us why the D7, why Portugal in the first place, what was the experience? Tell us a little bit about that.
Pois, primeiro de todo, quero falar em português para mostrar que os estrangeiros, se aprendem português, se gastamos o tempo para se falar, aprender e falar com as pessoas, é uma coisa importante para eu mostrar que se falamos, se integramos, e é uma coisa importante para nós, o ser português. Isso é, primeiro de todo, o que queremos ser. Queremos ser português também. E é uma meta boa para nós.
Fazer parte da cultura.
Sim. Fazer parte da cultura e também combinar os nossos talentos com a cultura. Se podemos fazer uma coisa para Portugal,
Acrescentar valor,
sim,
não é?
sim.
Juntando também aqui.
Deixa-nos ajudar também.
Sim.
Precisamos da sua ajuda, mas posso ajudar também. E também é uma coisa que faço eu. Eu dou os discursos nas comunidades. Trato de dar o meu conhecimento nisso.
Estou surpresa com o português.
Obrigado.
Eu agora fui apanhada de surpresa.
Agora em inglês, por favor.
Não, está ótimo.
Não.
Isto, e tu também falas,
pouco, sim,
português. Sim. But I was very, very surprised right now. It's amazing how you speak Portuguese.
Thank you.
Not the avatar, like I said.
Yeah.
Well, it's important for me to show, hey, I didn't just come here for 5 years and I've been sitting here thinking and doing nothing.
Yeah.
I spent the past 5 years learning Portuguese, and so have my kids, so have my family. So this is, we'll talk more about it later. We're not thinking about Portugal for a short-term thing. This is a very long-term plan. It took a lot of long-term planning. So coming back to your question, your original question is why Portugal? Well, Portugal in many senses gave the best deal, as it were, or the best value out there. And it was, first and foremost, it was the citizenship for us. I wanted to have give my children the gift of a second citizenship. And this is important because they'll have their US citizenship, but it's also important to have another secondary citizenship. And this will expand their horizons, will expand their options in the future. They may not realize this because they're too young, frankly, and they were too young when we moved here. They were 9 and 12. They're not thinking, oh, let me understand world history so that I understand why a second shit is.
Exactly.
They don't understand that. And so it was really important for me to do that for my kids. So that first and foremost was the citizenship. And then the second thing was security. When you looked at the list of most secure places in the world, the ratings, Portugal's been top 10. So I wanted to move my kids to a place where they could have that childhood that I had growing up in Montana, of being able to go outside, not having my kids or my parents worry about me, that my kids can go walk around Cascais and I don't have to worry about that, even though they're young. The other parts were how difficult it was to immigrate. It was very reasonable to immigrate here, and then the tax portion. So Portugal really put all that together well. But at its core, it's important, I think, for Americans, for us as Americans, to explain why we want citizenship, because it's not for everybody. And not everybody, or everybody seems to have a different sort of view on that. For Americans, it's more important because we know how immigrants get treated. And you can be a long-term immigrant, you can be a short-term immigrant, you can even have a green card. There are still pretty draconian rules on green card. So green card in the equivalent in the US is, hey, you're a long-term resident, but you can still get that taken from you. And so for us, having something that can get taken from us, a long-term residency, I don't want that. That's a risk. It's a risk for my kids. I want a citizenship that cannot be taken from me.
We usually call as a plan B, right?
A plan B.
You have to have an option in case to give you more security. And tell me how it was moving with kids.
It was more difficult moving with kids because this is our first international move, and we were worried about, does this do something to them irrevocably? Does it harm them in some fashion? Does it make it so that they can't have friends? There's a concept out there called the third culture kid, where my kids are not wholly American, they're not wholly Portuguese, there's something in between where when they go back, they don't, although they've consumed all the TikTok and all the stupid social media, they still understand, there's still that little bit missing of my daughter's friend drives and my daughter can't. So in
Yeah,
Portugal,
there are differences.
there are
of course,
differences.
Yeah.
But there was, at its core, what I wanted, my goal for this move was my kids to see a different life
Okay.
and make a choice for themselves which sort of life they wanted. And to that end, it is mission accomplished. They have seen that different life. They can make that choice. They can make that choice to stay in Portugal, go back to the US, something in between there. But what I really wanted them to see was what's presented to you. There are far more options about that. But you can make that choice for yourself.
And how was the integration in terms of friendships and language and culture?
The integration was a bit difficult at first because they were going to an international school.
Okay.
So they went to an international school. It would have been too difficult for them, quite frankly, to go to a Portuguese school.
Yeah.
You can't really set your kids up for failure like that. That would affect them long term.
Yeah.
They wouldn't understand.
I totally agree. That is a common question that I receive from clients or potential clients that they want to relocate, and I always give that input, saying that look, it's like a transition. It's not that your kid is not ready perhaps in 1, 2, 3 years, but in this first impact, I would always advise international schools.
And it was originally difficult because we were in the middle of COVID. We were at the very tail end of the lockdown, so in that sense, it was difficult for them. But what's gratifying to me is that the friends, at least my older daughter, the friends that she made, in fact, one of the kids that she met when we had been here for several days is still her friend to this day, one of her close friends. And so that was really gratifying to me that they were able to make friends. And I would argue, saying better is putting an opinion on it, but I would say she met very good friends who were going to be close, and not just close for her high school and school years. These are going to be friends for life.
Yeah.
And so she's going to have friends that are from Brazil, from Netherlands, all over the place. And this is part of what my other goal was. That part of seeing other life was not just seeing how life is in Portugal, it was seeing people from these other countries and seeing how they lived and having friendships that way.
Nice. So as a family plan, it worked.
Yes.
And why the D7?
So originally, to the question you were talking about before, we were trying to research this over COVID, and there's all kinds of just inane stuff that is out there.
Yeah.
So sifting through this is really difficult. So I originally thought, I'm just going to have to get this golden visa thing and pay for that. And then I talked to a lawyer, and he said, no, you don't need a golden visa if you're going to live here.
Exactly.
You just need the D7, and here are the rules for the D7. And so in that sense, the reason for that D7 that I try to tell people is, hey, if you want to move here, you can move here. You don't need a golden visa. Save yourself a lot of headache.
Yeah. What usually my advice is, of course, we do have clients that they want to relocate, but they want to relocate temporarily. So in order not to lose then the residency status, the golden visa continues to be a good option. But definitely for those that they want to relocate and to stay here, and that is the idea, in the long run, any D option would be the most suitable option for sure. Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's another clarification for people. Although it's a D7 and it's ostensibly a retirement visa, you don't have to be retired.
No. It's exactly passive income holder visa.
Passive income.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so it's worked really well for us. We haven't, kind of to a question you asked before about, hey, we had our residency expired for a year while waiting for things. So Portugal both giveth and taketh. And
yeah, let's discuss about the issues.
Yeah.
Let's discuss about the issues.
Can I just say just one more thing? And very interesting. You see, like the way that Jesse assessed this cultural diversity, provided that I was born and raised in Yugoslavia, and we were a nation. We were basically a federation of 6 states and 2 commonwealths with many different languages, different religions, and all that. Already come from a diverse background. So for me, maybe is what I experience as a cultural shock in the United States, where everything is almost like a flat
Homogenous.
plane. Right. And I never really thought of it that way when I think about, coming back here. And I realized actually, wow, that was an added benefit to it. But the reason, what made, what kind of gave us that confidence when we came here, it was in the middle of the pandemic. And like I said, when you hire somebody for services, you have a relationship, a business relationship, but you don't expect every day on the street for people to be kind and nice to you. So I went to Intermarché, and I am walking all of the refrigerator section looking for eggs. And I walked by maybe 30 times, not feeling comfortable asking. And this older gentleman who was also shopping, he asked me, he's like, excuse me, sir, is there something you're looking for? And I said, yes, I'm just looking for eggs. I can't find eggs. It's possible that they don't have eggs. He goes like, oh, American. I mean, I have an accent when I speak English, so I don't know, how did you know? But he's like, well, in Portugal, we don't refrigerate our eggs, and you can find them in the section where we have all the baking goods. And to me, this is something very unique to the Portuguese people.
Mm-hmm. True.
People are kind and they don't want you to be frustrated. So everywhere we have ever been, or anything that we ever had to do, I'm talking about any ordinary Portuguese, citizen from our community, when we travel around, has always been very kind. And that is very, very unique.
Unique.
Because I have lived in a lot of other countries in the world, and I can promise you, culturally, nobody stands up to that level of kindness.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Yeah.
It is a fact of life. We experience that every day. And like Jesse said, with his children, same thing with us as adults. All of our Portuguese friends, we live down in the Algarve, all of our Portuguese friends still to this day are friends. And we are together for every occasion, and we do one of those spontaneous things that we are not used to in the United States, where somebody just, you start talking to them on the parking lot, the next thing you know, you're in your back patio, and the night goes to 3 o'clock in the morning, which is fantastic.
True. And usually, something that I usually say is that if you don't force to speak Portuguese, people are kind enough to try always to speak with you in English.
Absolutely.
Even if they don't understand or don't speak at all, they try their best to communicate in your language.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In fact, what I do, I'll throw this out to people who may be watching. I actually ask them to speak to me in Portuguese. I say, preciso practicar o meu português. Pode falar em português. And this is, if you put yourself in those situations where you have to go to the market, go do those things, you will learn. You will get better with your Portuguese.
For sure.
A language is living. It's not.
Yeah. So, Portugal speaks for Portugal. Right. So we do have the food, we do have the people, we do have the culture, we do have the weather. So what we are doing wrong? So in this journey, if you had politicians here today with us, tell me all about it.
I think, and I'll start first just because I think the ARI residence program labeled as golden visa, and the D7 labeled as retirement, but it's a passive income program. On our end, we do have a very different path than the D residence program, right? So our initial application will be with the Immigration Authority instead of going through a consulate and all that. And JC and I were comparing notes on that earlier, just so we can understand our
the differences.
Right.
Yeah.
What I think that one of the major things that is happening to Portugal, and especially since 2017, has been the influx of people. Totally. And we are all immigrants, right?
And we were not prepared.
Correct.
We were not prepared.
So the systems and the agencies and institutions that are supposed to actually take care of the process were not set up to handle that volume. Plus, the bureaucracy, where in this past data time, there was a lot of paper trail for audit. That created a huge stack of backlog, which is why our process was so affected by it. So we're one of those 2021 applicants that had to go through all the most painful waiting periods between stages, right? Which is kind of different with the latest process that they apply. That's the first thing. But I think the challenge with SEF transferring to IMA, not being prepared and all that, and it's not even the political, the political topics that they can extract out of this. It is the fact of life that when we moved here, we realized how much of a handicap it is to us. Because when you come to live in Portugal, independent that our residence type does not require permanent residence in Portugal or residence for more than 180 days in the country, we rely on a lot of little numbers that you have to obtain from different agencies that the system doesn't coherently speak to.
Yeah.
And that creates bottlenecks where you are stuck from moving forward somewhere else because another agency is not doing it. And not even professional services can help you in that circumstance because it is an interagency thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
This was the part that we came
Basically,
to a realization.
I would say lack of modernization.
Correct. It's lack of being able to digitalize systems effectively, but we do see that in the United States, the integration between agencies doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right? This is a smaller country, yes, but on the same token, there are a lot of different agencies handling a lot of different things.
Thanks.
Right.
True.
And this is where we've found a lot of the challenges with the bureaucracy. Then you have this very common syndrome of where the clerk interprets on that day what is and what is not right. And that creates, another aspect of challenge. Not that it's not resolvable, that doesn't stand. At the end of the day, the professional that accompanied us at our biometrics appointment, she was able to resolve everything, right? So the clerk is there to take care of the process, and she was able to resolve everything for us. But the point is that you feel that sometimes, right? And that was a little bit unsettling. And I think the biggest challenge was the indefinite uncertainty of anticipation on when.
True.
You know you're gonna get there, just when.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah,
that
I
was
feel that
the
as
hardest,
well.
the way that I can put it.
Yes.
For us.
Yes. So, Jesse, delays, lack of information, different interpretations. Did you ever feel that these circumstances would work against the decision of staying in Portugal?
Oh, they definitely do it. It's friction is what we call it. Whenever you have friction in a system, whether it's a business, whether it's a government, you now have this thought of, should I even do this? So for example, for some reason, there's the VIN sticker, the ID sticker in our car has rubbed off. I have no idea how or why it would rub off. Why would you use a sticker for this? But I digress. But my thought wasn't, oh, that's too bad, that sucks. My first thought was, this is going to take forever to do, because I don't just go to one place and get it done. I have to go to the dealership to get it done. Then I go to another place to go get a sticker that says I can go do this. And then I take that sticker to another place that says I can do this. And instead of it being this somewhat coherent, thought through sort of thing, I mean, it's probably an edge case.
Handful of bureaucracy.
Yeah, it's just a head full of bureaucracy where I immediately think this is going to take forever. And guess what? The ticket that they gave me, so I just paid the ticket right then because, hey, it was just stupid. They were going to take my car ID, otherwise. But they said, you need to fix this in a month. And I was like, you really think this can be fixed in a month? This is not going to be fixed in a month. But what I would like to say is positively, if there's a politician watching this, my original thought for Portugal is to be this. Portugal should be the Singapore of Europe. And by that I mean having a good business culture. Portugal has all these parts to it. These parts don't speak to themselves, don't work together, but at the same time, Portugal is a small country. So in Sun Tzu, The Art of War, you take your disadvantage and you make that an advantage.
Yeah.
Portugal is not a big enough country to compete with Germany and France. So it has to compete a different way. And so I would love to see Portugal use its small size and this interconnectedness
In our own benefit.
to our own benefit. Portugal can do this. Singapore did it. They obviously had a dictator, but it can be done democratically. It can be. Portugal can put its effort. And when I put this forward, somebody said Portugal likes to fight amongst itself, not actually go towards something. And I would love to see some of this. Or let me back up. Sometimes when people find that I'm American, they say, I like dealing with Americans because they push back. They don't just say,
True.
For those of you who are watching who've never been here, you'll hear this word, it's not possible, a lot in Portugal. And what not possible means is, it's not possible
In
maybe
the first instance.
in the first instance. What you have to be is, you have to be this American, in my case, who pushes back on that and says, okay, well, how can we make that possible? How can we go about doing this in a way that is beneficial for both of us?
Exactly that.
And if we can just get that, there's some benefits that we'll bring in. Hey, Americans need to calm down as well. That's I'm the first one to admit that. But at the same time, that push and that can-do attitude is something that I'd love to see more in Portugal.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for someone coming right now and starting to prepare, to consider to move, what would be your advice, your honest advice?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had to make that sound very scary when I said it earlier. And for a reason, I'll tell you why. I mentioned that we do bring our own culture everywhere we go. Our expectations are set at the level of what we're used to back home. And let me just tell you something, it is not nearly as organized as everybody thinks, but let's just say there is some order in how things happen. What we didn't know when we started hitting all these, we felt like walls, was that when in Portugal, think Portuguese. Mm-hmm. So you need to have a little bit of a cultural shift and an adjustment, the approach you're going to take. When I said, maybe ARI process is not the best example because it has had administrative delays beyond anything else. But on the same token, now we understand that actually we also weren't taking the right approach to that. Mm-hmm. We weren't hitting the advice of professionals that have been giving us the information. And we'll speak a little bit later about the forums and the community that me and Arun established in 2023 to actually support with this, because I was going through the process here, and I felt it was going to be beneficial for people to know that in Portugal things do work, but you need to take that specific path in the way that they work here, not in the way that you feel it should happen. Your feeling and the process is not the same thing, always.
What you are saying is that you need to adapt. You
need to adapt, but you also need to...
But being informed since the beginning, don't you think?
Exactly.
Because I think that sometimes people just sell the idea. Yes. That everything is amazing and everything is easy, which is not accurate. I believe that professionals more and more, they need to be very clear and transparent on how the culture is. Correct. In order to give the possibility for the other party also to start that adaptation.
Correct, but I do feel that we lack the openness to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so this is more of a cultural receptivity on our end. One of the things that we use very frequently in relationship matter, it doesn't matter that's business, personal, and so forth, is red flags. And red flags come up in a conversation. So if all of a sudden, from the ad you saw and the conversation you're having, you can't draw certain parallels to the things you saw and the things they're talking about, you are taken aback. And these are called red flags. And the analogy that I can make, the easiest analogy that I can make, when you drive by in the United States and you see a big advertising of McDonald's, that burger looks so juicy and thick and big. And when you walk into McDonald's and they serve you that burger, you wonder if it's impoverished brother being hungry somewhere in the back of the aisle, right? So this will be exactly the same thing. Something that's advertised looks like that versus this. But also people have to understand that in this overall, immigration by investment, which is not only happening to Portugal and it's in a lot of other countries, in Europe that's currently really hot. There are a lot of players. It's not just one-dimensional thing. It's not one group of people selling it all.
Yeah.
Therefore, some will make it more appetizing, and that's exactly their job. That's the PR side of it. Some will normalize the process as services that sit in between and are going to take you through that. But through it all, you need to be the one that stays informed, that reaches out, asks for information, clarification, avoid comparing, and avoid confrontation, because confrontation really doesn't begin culturally in Portugal is not received very well. People shut down quickly and then you lose your momentum. The most important thing is, like I said, people don't want you to be frustrated.
Yeah.
So asking questions is the way to see the means to an end, or how you're going to accomplish that. So if somebody was coming here today, I would say between, keeping that open mind, opening yourself as being receptive to the conversations you're going to have with the people that you're talking to. B, we have had quite a bit of a big community that has already immigrated, has gone through the process, and we have all gathered some intelligence around it that can tremendously help people in the process. But C, most importantly, is to define what your end goal is. Because if your end goal is to be here in Portugal, this is definitely a path I would take many times over if I need to, because I really feel like I belong here. And that's very different than saying, my final goal is, I don't know, just have a Portuguese passport, and I'm, an individual who doesn't have to think about their family like Jesse would and stuff like that. I do think about my family, and I know all three of us, coming from different backgrounds, different cultures, we all feel like we belong here, and that's unique.
Amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. Jesse, any advice?
Yes. One of the things I'd say is Portuguese culture is not what you're thinking. So put it a different way, Portuguese culture is not Spanish culture, it's not Italian culture, and it's not French culture. But at the same time, it's as if all three of those had a baby. You could add a bit of Arab culture in there, because at one point or another, every single one of these powers had an influence or conquered Portugal or something. I mean, if you go all the way back, this was Gaul. So but it was various tribes of Gaul, and the Italians came in, and you could actually see Roman ruins, which is pretty cool for me, loving history. So there's one part. The other part that my wife likes to say is that in Portugal, nothing is possible, or excuse me, everything is possible, but nothing works. So, to keep that in mind is that you will hit problems here. You'll hit different problems, and it's in some ways moving to Portugal is international living light. It's not this massive culture difference. It is a culture difference, but it's not so great that you won't recognize yourself. Yeah, it won't be a shock.
Yeah.
So personally, I didn't hit a culture shock.
You felt welcome?
Yeah, I felt welcome. I've never felt the first time I felt unwelcome in Portugal was the nationality law change. Up to that point.
Yeah, we will discuss a little bit
We will
about
discuss that. But when you're sitting in front of a Portuguese person, I've never felt either hostility or even the people who don't like immigration will still be nice to your face, which is kind of weird. I would hope that you would be mean to me to my face at least. But what I found is even people that were not hostile but not pro-immigration, let's put it that way, were still happy that people were coming in, that people enjoyed. There is a pride here. There's a pride in Portugal that is palpable. There's a pride in the wine. There's a pride in the food. And they should be proud. We should be proud of this as well. So that's the other thing I think people should take into account is, hey, you've probably never had Portuguese wine if you're coming from outside Portugal, because Portugal drinks all the wine. There's not enough wine left over to send it elsewhere.
Yeah.
And they do share.
And they do share.
I just want to make sure that everybody knows, yes, they will share it with you.
Yes, there's plenty of Portuguese wine to share, but there's these things. It's kind of like an onion that as you peel away these layers, you will see deeper and deeper both beauty and sometimes not so much beauty, but you will see this core of something that's unique and in its own right. I guess the other thing that was surprising for me is Portuguese, continental Portuguese, sounds like Spanish spoken by a Russian, or the way I like to say it is Spanish spoken like it was French.
It's a mix.
It's a mix.
Yeah, it's a mix.
Where there's, the first time I heard the R being pronounced as I've never made that noise before. I've heard that from French people, but why is your double R a sound instead of a
Or how did my name turn into Risto?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or my name, do you know how people say my name in Portuguese?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I still get people laugh about this. So when I tell people my name in Portuguese, I say yes. Like I am very emphatically saying yes, and it's very funny because sometimes
it's a part of the journey.
It's a part of the journey.
Yeah.
It is exactly part of the journey. Now I understand things of people immigrating, and somebody mispronouncing your name, that's the least of your worries, and you can take it all in good fun that you
and I'm sure
emphatically
your
say
family
yes.
already have a lot of history to share and fun facts and small things that will be on their minds forever.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure.
a story we tell other people when we're in the U.S. And,
Yeah.
okay, here's the story of how you say Jesse in Portuguese.
Yes.
Yes. You have to be very emphatic about it.
Yes.
Good. So, as we all know, the government proposed last year to amend the nationality law in order to then increase mainly the number of years necessary to achieve the nationality from 5 to 10 years without any protection to clients or residents or investors, regardless of the program that you are in. Without any protection, as I mentioned, what led to public discussion and a lot of people being frustrated with that choice, with that approach, let's say like that.
Correct.
So, taking that into consideration, you then decided to react and then also to try to promote here some communication, some activities that could lead to the discussion of this topic. Do you want to talk a little bit about?
Yes, absolutely. So when initially our community in our WhatsApp community, right, all things Portugal, ARI resident program, has about 21 groups. They're all topic related.
It's already a big community.
Right, and it's about 1,500 or almost 1,600 members in it. But obviously, we are also members of other immigration groups across the D-residence program spectrum on Facebook, and some of them are personal friends, obviously, that have come here because they were mostly eligible for the digital nomad visa. So in the past, we have really relied on experts in the field, and obviously PAIR being one of the most prominent one in immigration by investment, and having represented our community with any of the legislative changes in the past, which have not been as impactful as the change of the nationality law. This is when the community agreed to actually create an initiative. Our first attempt in that initiative was going to be mostly public relation, or a campaign that was going to work with a public relations company to create a voice behind it. However, we realized that the actual sentiment that was coming across was not going to resonate with the people we were trying to appeal to. Obviously, it wasn't going to in any way resonate with the Portuguese people, which I think it's very important to create a community voice that can resonate with them. And the second part was in no way that was actually going to make any difference with the politicians. So that campaign was disbanded, and then Jesse came on board. And this was a very good and kind of almost like a divine intervention, I would say. Because Jesse is not biased in the ARI resident program sentiment. So he doesn't carry the same feelings, but he understands the implication on the overall residents that want to be part of Portugal, right? So his way that he took over that campaign and the second initiative brought across the tone that we should have for this campaign. And I think that was maybe the biggest part of the work, Jesse, right? That we did to make sure that our community doesn't just act on anger, but understand exactly what it is that we need to accomplish and how we're going to accomplish that. So that turned into SJC, which is it is going to be an association, obviously, going forward. Our three pillars that we are funded on is segurança, justiça e continuidade. The reason for that is that we understand from the perspective of being a resident, like Jesse said, just having a temporary resident card or even a permanent resident card, not having a passport, you feel constantly uneasy that sometime that can be taken away from you. So the nationality law awoke those feelings. The second thing is we do believe that the legitimate expectation of anybody that decided to make Portugal their home and their future was based off of the fact that 5 years make you eligible to get your citizenship. And in our community, it's even more complicated because then your children can
renew.
Right, well, your children can renew, but the problem with your children is that they can grow out of age to be able to get to that stage. Now the goalpost has moved somewhere else. And the reason why we chose Continuidade is because we feel that we're here to stay. I mean, we are residents of Portugal, and we want to participate in this society equally. We know that in a lot of ways, and there are plenty of studies that show that we do make an impact, but that's not the only part. We're here, feet on the ground, skill set, learning language, working with a lot of people. Our friends have children. They aspire to get into the world that we're in, whether that's technology, software engineering, mechanical engineering. All of the skills that sit with us. We have a lot of people with passive income that have plenty of hours that I want to dedicate to volunteering or relief efforts with the storms or food banks and so forth. And all of that is available, and we're here, and we are part of that. We just didn't have that visibility. So we felt that SJC was going to be definitely the natural progression of that community, and we partnered with PAIR because we needed that institutional support, yes, to understand.
For those...
right, for those initiatives that we're taking together on the nationality law. And we also hired the professional services of Bloomcast to give us an opportunity to create a narrative and to help that narrative become agile enough based on the outcome of our efforts. Therefore, our initiative stands on pillars that are also SJC, and they're Sociedade, Justiça e Comunidade. And the reason for that is because for whether we are residents who reside here, whether we are residents who are abroad, and they're part of that international resident community of Portugal, or we are applicants who are stuck in those administrative delays, we do have the common goal and the common admiration for Portugal. This is not an item you find on the shelf and you just buy it. It takes some research. It takes an investment of your time. It takes some settlement in a family to for everybody to be willing to do that. Therefore, we felt that this initiative was going to be the right approach to take to both resonate with the politicians and to also create a community voice among the Portuguese society overall.
Jesse, how is this new community or this new idea that you have to create a platform that can be a voice is being received by either applicants or residents? Are you feeling support right now?
We're feeling a lot of support. In fact, there's a great deal of worry in the community of, hey, what happens if they do pass this law in its current form? There's a lot of both people who are abroad and people living here who, for example, myself, I've been here for almost 5 years, so 4.5 years. So I would feel this very heavy brunt of, oh, you moved the goalpost on me right at the very end. And so the community is really feeling this. The community is like really asking
the rules being changed during the game.
During the game, right at the very, in my case, at the very end of the game. Hey, we'll put it in American football terms, or we can put it in soccer terms. It's the second half, and Portugal is playing Spain, and it's 1-1. And then, in order to keep it tied, we're going to move the goalpost. We're going to move the goal way.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly it.
Into the next stadium.
Yeah. And we'll say you have to kick it all the way there. Go ahead and do your free penalty kick, and let's see if the goalkeeper can get it.
Right.
It's that level of frustration and unfairness that the people are feeling. So when I put the GoFundMe forward, I was worried that I wouldn't get it. I thought, I put it at €30,000 thinking there's no way I'm going to hit this. If I get that enough, if I just get enough, I can pay.
And then you just started
kept on going because now we're at 36,000. We've had almost 270 people donate to that. So to the politicians watching, hey, these people are very, very involved in this. Yeah. They're trying to become Portuguese from afar. And perhaps the other learning I had that's been surprising is that perception of the ARI people having a ton of money is not the case. Some people do, definitely. Some people, they put their last dime their last euro into this, and they are not wealthy at all. And here we are. This was their dream. And perhaps that's the other thing I'd bring up is some people are calculating their lives. It's not a calculation of when can I get this, it's how many years left do I have in life? And they're saying, I may be dead before I get that passport. And that's a real tearjerker.
Yeah, exactly. And what would be your expectations for April 1st?
Well, obviously, since we're so intimately involved in that, right now we do understand that a debate that they're going to have on April 1st does not really include any new proposals of anything. They're basically just going to debate over the current circumstance, the law as is, and as it was ruled by the Constitutional Court. We do see that there is now another aspect developing from the Constitutional Court seats that they're going to try to leverage, and that will be a very good way for them to rethink again whether this is in line with Portugal has been perceived as the progressive government that has always invested in the future of Portugal. Is this going to truly be the right move to make? And I think I mentioned earlier to Jesse in our conversation that I really don't see the great benefit that the Portuguese people would get from that. And I do think that politicians definitely should work towards what the Portuguese people need and the programs that will support them in the future. And I do think that a big part of this idea of investment by immigration and offering the de-resident programs for people that have the means to be very well off on their own creates a great impact on the Portuguese future.
That would be another episode, to be honest with you, to discuss how can immigration help Portuguese people and Portuguese social structures and a lot of things.
Yeah.
So we could use, in fact, the current legal framework in order to then attract foreign investment or at least willingness to invest in order then to improve a lot of sectors in our society.
Absolutely.
But that would be another
fix.
2 hour
we
conversation.
could fix Central Portugal this way.
Exactly. No, a lot of things.
I mean, we're seeing all of that from that aspect. Obviously, there are a lot of intelligent people in our community that can participate, bringing aspects that from just their own career, being in development of rural areas, for example.
But do you feel, sorry to interrupt, do you feel that there is lack of interest from the government, lack of political measures, willingness to try? I
think that something has shifted from what we saw. Like I started following since 2017. That has been kind of one of the aspects that I have been looking at, into which government shows that progressive mindset to utilize what they have here and how they can enhance and maybe start leading in Europe in certain areas, because attracting investors also comes along with them being more eligible for grants from the European Union. And obviously every politician within the European Union aspires to somehow end up in a position there, and then in a long term, looking at a political career, you definitely don't want it to backfire. I do feel that there was a certain shutdown at one point when the politics internalized within Portugal, rather than continuing to think about that strategy to bring Portugal to what Jesse was saying, and rightfully so, could be, in American terms, the west of United States, one of the most powerful states in the world's economy, sits in the west of the United States. Singapore, one of the maybe best, safest place to live in, which Portugal has. California doesn't have that. Portugal has, right? Is from Singapore. If all of these things put together in this landscape, with all of the circumstances that you have, including how nature plays in your favor, and now in our favor since we're here, yay. Yes, absolutely believe that foreign investment and the framework adjustment plus the political foresight and change to, again, not internalize it, but create an openness, could definitely make the differentiator in the future.
Yeah, no, totally. I also agree. So, final question, and let me then also touch on this point because it's important to us as well. What is, for you, the most important in legal advice? What is here the role of the lawyer, of the law firm that you choose in order to guide you, Jesse? You are not a prime legal, so you can talk bad about the lawyer that you use, okay?
Well, let me put it this way, Mike. We don't use them anymore. And the advice I'll give you is, everybody is, if you email your lawyer, how many times do you have to email them to get them to write back?
Yeah, responsiveness.
Responsiveness. Because we come at it with, obviously, our American background of, hey, our lawyer may not get back to us in an hour, but if it's been weeks and you still haven't heard back from them and you pinged them several weeks ago still,
That's a red flag.
It's a red flag, but it's also frankly common here. Mm-hmm. So it is a big thing. The other advice I give people is, as you're looking at who's trying to fight this good fight, you know, there's obviously Risto and I, but there's not many other lawyers that are doing it. We've got two of them
Thank
here.
you.
So I would say put your money where your mouth is on this, and they're not getting paid to lobby.
True.
Like I said, partnered with them.
We partnered with them for SJC because we didn't have to go around and say, hey, lawyers, can we pay you 40,000, 50,000 euros so that you can help support us? No, they were already doing this. So,
I agree with Jesse. Absolutely, it is plaguing the overall landscape of services here, where you send an email and nobody responds back. Now, understanding from the inside in Portugal how that works, where a lot of law firms are also not ready to handle the volume, right? Sure. It doesn't matter how many paralegals or how many of your team you can grow into effectively responding.
The challenge.
The fundamental challenge.
The challenge.
Right.
Yeah, the challenge.
But on the same token, you definitely can differentiate when a lawyer and any professional as well cares versus when a lawyer is overwhelmed plus doesn't care. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that exists. Now, my choice of always choosing legal advice is because I strongly believe that it doesn't matter how much I participate in the process, I am still not the person that can devise millions of alternate ways that I can get there. Therefore, every single investment into legal advice is just a closer step forward. Mm-hmm. Anytime people take matters to their own, and I would know, I did that by learning how to file our taxes.
I heard about that.
Yes. Nevertheless, great learning. Now I can navigate the Finanças portal like that. But yes, absolutely. Any service that you're going to hire definitely is worth your penny. Whereas the repercussions of not having that could be longer term consequences, including delays that you don't foresee. But I would just agree with Jesse. Look into your lawyer's,
profile.
Not just profile, but also how they are addressing you, right? Yeah. How they're addressing you in the process. It's not about being sensitive to your feelings. It's about giving you the right advice. And even if sometimes that doesn't align with your expectations, you know that's the right way. And that's exactly what legal advice is. They have to be transparent, factual, and honest. And that's why I have come back.
Good. So, final remarks. Do you have anything that you would like to add? Take this opportunity to share any additional insights.
I'm assuming that this will air before this is done. The GoFundMe, we'll try to put the URL there. If this is going to affect you, having more donors on the GoFundMe is a calculus that the politicians are looking at to figure out, should they be talking to us? Should they be paying attention? And we need to have our voices out there. Probably the biggest surprise I had was for the first 2 times that law was voted on, none of us who were represented by that was lobbying. It was lawyers talking, nice lawyers, but it was none of us. And we were taking a real back seat. And instead of really trying to say, this affects me, this is important to me, make sure your voice is heard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Perfect. So, thank you so much. Okay, it was a pleasure. And obrigada a todos por mais um episódio Prime Talks. Até ao próximo episódio.